Hello friends, happy Sunday. Welcome to the Portfolio Reviews. I'm Julia Masalska. I'm your host of the main channel. You can find me on social media like that at Julia Masalska. So this is also where you can submit your portfolio for future reviews. Just get in touch with me on Instagram and shoot me a link to your portfolio and you can be part of these portfolio reviews. So the goal of these streams is to kind of clarify how to put together a case study, how to put together a portfolio for your design work, be it for freelance clients or maybe you want to apply for a design job. Today we have 5 amazing designers that we're going to be taking a look at the portfolios of, and we're going to start with Kayla Shatowski, then we have Adson Rodriguez, then we have Jasmine Singh, Anna Beatriz Costa, and Sara Pronio. I'm really excited, guys. Let me know in the chat who is here. Sarah Maria, hi, good to see you. Thanks so much for joining. Let me know in the chat where you guys are tuning in from, what you guys are up to, what you guys have been doing yesterday. So yeah, let's jump right into this, and I'm going to jump into my work screen so that we can take a look at Kayla's portfolio. So first of all, guys, to kind of mention a couple things. So if you are new to, creating a portfolio, creative portfolio, or if you're just out of school and you kind of want to create an online presence, there are a couple platforms that you can use for that. One of them is Behance.net. I'm quickly gonna show that to you. Behance.net. So here you can create your own personal portfolio. I also have my portfolio here. As you can see, this is a very professional creative platform. So here you can also follow me on my Behance. I have a couple projects up. Actually, I've been cleaning up and I've reduced my projects to the ones that kind of represent my current state of ability. So I recommend for you to do that as well. So make sure to filter out the projects that mean the most to you and that you can feel represented as of your current skill set the most. Another thing that I wanted to mention is that it's really important that your portfolio is specialized in a certain field. So I'm specializing in branding and packaging, and so these are the kind of projects that I also put into my portfolio. And make sure to find for yourself what kind of is the field of expertise you want to be working with and what kind of industry you want to be working with. As you can see, I have a cosmetics industry, I have beverage industry here. We have, again, beverage industry. So beverage industry kind of overweighs here in my portfolio, and it kind of shows that I know more about that, right? And just showing that you are specialized in a certain field with me, branding and packaging. It's also showing that I'm into that, and I've been practicing it and I have experience in it. So I think, finding your field and finding your industry is so important in the beginning, because then you can really concentrate on that specific field. And whenever a potential client sees your portfolio, they will be able to identify themselves with your work, and they will be able to see that you actually know what you're doing and that you're specialized in this specific field. So that's my recommendation to you. It will be easy with that, to kind of gain trust of potential clients. All right, so let's jump into Kayla's portfolio. I really love the cover image here at the top. Here's a little intro. Hi, I'm Kayla Shatowski, UX designer based in Canada. That already tells me a lot. I also love the little minimalistic navigation bar at the top. So let's scroll through here. I'm passionate about creating human-centered solutions that empower users, solutions that also contribute to a sustainable world for today and tomorrow. I really love that background color that you have selected here, and I also love the hierarchy of the information that you have here. So hierarchy basically means that there are certain things that we see at first and certain things that we see second, and that way you'll be able to identify the more important information that Kayla wants to tell us, right? So the most important information is here, and now we have some additional information at the bottom. And even within those text boxes, Kayla also differentiated a couple words and made them stand out, or a couple phrases and made them stand out through a bold typeface use. And I think that works really, really well. If I just want to fly over this, I see empower, sustainable, working directly with users to create solutions that work for the community, sales, event planning, and so on. So basically, I see all the important things that I need to know about Kayla. So here, I think you have done a great job. Let's continue here, scrolling down my work. We have a couple projects going on. Humankind, Adidas X Brain Station, Figo Bank, Actorisk redesign. Okay, cool. Let me take a quick look at the chat. We have Adson joining, and Anna and Jessie, and Mustafa is here. Hi guys, good to see you. All right, so let's take a quick look here at the Humankind project. I want to get onto the project, and I can already see a nice intro image. Case study, Humankind. It's always important to kind of put your projects together in a case study. Case study basically just means that it's not just 2-3 images, but a case study usually starts with research, then it shows the design process, and then it shows the ready result in a very well made presentation. A case study, I can scroll through some of the case studies in about 2 to 5 minutes. So literally, it can be a case study that's really long and very intense, and it can take me up to 5 minutes to go through all the information, but it can also be a short case study. But in any case, I think it's important for UX projects to include your visuals into an actual case study. So show the research part, show the design process, and then show the end result and present it well, present how it actually works. And after that, if you are able to take that next step, even show some research afterwards, some testing results. Maybe you have tested this design on actual people and have tested the usability. So that would be another step that you can do. Here we have Kayla is giving a little intro about the client, about the project dates, location, and tools. I think that works. That looks really good. Here we have some tools that Kayla is also using for this project. I think is a really, really cool way to show what you're working with. And some teams at some companies, they prefer certain tools. So it's great for them to know if you are actually familiar with this tool, right? So I think it's a great way to show what you're working with. Even in the Behance portfolio, you can select the tools that you have been working with on the project. Cool. All right, Brain Station, Capstone project. Okay, so project dates and location. This is really cool. And here we already have the ready prototype. So now let's click here. Let's take a look at what this will look like. Okay, so Kayla has created a prototype for us so that we can actually imagine that this product already exists, right? So let's take a look. So once I'm clicking, she has created a thumbnail here, which is also great. So now we have either login or register. So we have this like a starting page going on. So I'm clicking register. It kind of makes me follow through the whole process, and while doing that, I can also see how it interacts. Okay, so I think this is a really cool way to show a functionality of your design, right? It's basically kind of like a presentation, but in an interactive way, which I think works really, really well. Okay, cool. So now we have these little icons that she probably created at the bottom, and we can go through all of these different pieces of information. So that's really cool. I think that's a really nice interactive way to show a design. So you did a great job here, and you put it at the top, right at the beginning of the project, so you can already get an impression and already understand what this project is all about. Now, Kayla is starting with the challenge, identifying what's the challenge, what's the problem space, constraints, assumptions. So really going into the, really going into depth in the beginning. Then we have the research phase here about the persona and so on. So really, really great and into depth project. And this is what a case study basically is. And those case studies can also be created for branding projects, because branding usually, what is it? So you have a certain brand strategy that's being developed for a certain brand with a certain goal. So let's say a brand wants to attract a new audience or broaden their audience. That means that that's a challenge, and that has to be achieved visually, and you know, with the language that you use, with the brand voice that you use. So, you know, in case of branding, we can also create case studies like this. Now Kayla is showing her prototype. This is great. We have some low fidelity wireframes going here. Kayla, there's a little overlap happening here. I'm sure we can work on this, but this image is being overlaid with text. I'm sure we can work this out here. It's just a little tiny thing. Otherwise, there is a lot to read. I'm wondering if there is a way to show all of these things that you have here in visuals, right? Is there maybe a way to create infographics for all of these things that you're mentioning? That would be kind of more of a visual approach, and I wouldn't have that much, you know, to read, because really I have to sit down and read for a couple of minutes here. Cool. Now we have the visuals here. Here I wish it was a little bit larger so I can actually, you know, see that work a little bit better, and maybe even some mock-ups, you know, how the visuals work inside the app. Where are you actually using these colors? I think that will be interesting to see. And now we have the high fidelity prototype. So we have a couple mock-ups here on the actual phone, and you are also offering like little different you know, like comments to this. So this is great. Cool. Marketing website. And also we have all of these things kind of sliding in from the side. I think it gives it even more interactivity, so I think this is great. Cool. And we have a call to action at the bottom, which is amazing, because now we can, you know, we can actually, after looking through your work and saying like, wow, Kayla is so great, the important thing is also to actually make the person contact you, right? So what if you have an amazing work, but there's no contact page and there's no way to reach you? I think that would be too bad, and that will be actually, you know, maybe leading to this person not deciding for you for their job. So here we have the ability to connect with LinkedIn, Instagram, and email. I think that's a great range, and I don't think we need more. And I would only put the Instagram link here if you're actually posting professional work on your portfolio, on your Instagram. Otherwise, I would not even mention Instagram if it's all your personal things, photos, and so on. So Kayla, I think your project is great. I will maybe try to visualize some of these these text passages, because there's a lot of text, and I'm pretty likely to lose attention and to kind of lose the connection to the project. So maybe I would try to kind of you know, put it together in visuals, and then maybe there is a way to kind of read if you want. So create a visual and then actually create the text that belongs to it, if that makes sense. So I can understand what you want to say in a visual first, and then if I really want to go into depth and really want to understand each of the points, then to read some text on the side. That's just a tip, but otherwise I think this is looking great. It's a very in-depth case study. I really love what you're showing here. In this case here, maybe I would try and show the whole screen. It does look a little cut off here on the sides, so I'll make sure that it's also visually pleasing while scrolling through. And this little, you know, this little overlay here, I'm sure we can work on that. Cool. And Jaturmia, Mustafa is here, and Johnny's here, and the Wood. Very nice. Thanks so much for joining, guys. Okay, cool. So I think, Kayla, your work is really great, and you're going really into depth. I would try and you know, really work on how to put this content in a visually pleasing way. Maybe create infographics and then put the text on the side that will clarify what the infographic says. If, you know, if the infographic is just very if the infographic is not going too much into detail. Otherwise, I think you have some great projects here. Let's take a quick look at another project. We have UX Designer Hackathon. Okay, let's take a look at that. And we have Adidas 24-hour Hackathon. This is a really great resource, because you have actually worked with an actual brand, you know, with a brand that probably many of us are familiar with. So this is great. And then we have the prototype again. I love how you have, you know, everything organized really well. So let's take a quick look here. So you have created some interfaces here. Cool. All right. So we're clicking add to cart, and then you're showing how the cart is looking like. Cool. All right. This is great. No, I think you're doing an amazing job. Showing your design here. Let's see. Okay, so there's no continue here. Or is there? Maybe I missed something. But anyways, I think this is a great way, and I can see that you have structured your projects really, really well. That you're really, really going into depth, and I think you're doing an amazing job at that. And yeah, really the only thing is that I would recommend you kind of visualize it more, create more infographics and stuff like that. But otherwise, I think you're doing a great job, Kayla, and just please continue and make sure that all of the projects that you present are actually the potential clients that you want to work with, or the industry that you want to work with. Otherwise, I think you're on a really, really good path, and congrats to your portfolio. I think it's looking great. Okay, next up we have Adson Rodriguez. Adson Rodriguez has a My Portfolio site. So you can see that it's .myportfolio.com, and that you can actually achieve by building your portfolio site through Behance, which I also did. So there's something that's called Adobe Portfolio. So if I click this, I'll be able to access my online portfolio that's in form of a website. So now that I click on that, you'll be able to see a website looking interface, which shows basically my Behance projects, but in the form of a personal website. And here you can also add other things. I have, for example, some freebies, and mine is called masalska.myportfolio.com. Let's go onto that site so I can show you. Okay, masalska.myportfolio.com. This is my current portfolio, and this is based off my Behance project. So the projects that I had in my Behance, right? Okay, and then here you can add other sections that maybe will show some more of your personality or whatever you do. I have some freebies here. I have a freelance contract, for example. So you can actually modify the site and create a customized experience for your Behance projects. And it's also free, I believe. If you have Creative Cloud subscription, then you can create, I think, up to 2 portfolios for free. So that's also a pretty cool way. And then it looks more of like a professional website. And you can even create so what I also did is I have a domain name called masalska.design. And what I did is I just created a forward. So now it just forwards to masalska.myportfolio.com. So whenever let's say I'm writing an email and I'm putting my actual domain name, www.masalska.design, that will lead to my portfolio site, which, it sounds way more professional if you put it as an actual domain name that you already own. And for all of you who don't own a domain name, I think it's a really, really important thing that you kind of create a domain name for yourself, even for the future, just to make sure that you will be able to access your domain with your name in it. So, okay, so let's jump into Adson's portfolio here. Hi, welcome to my portfolio. I'm a junior graphic designer based in Salvador, open for both freelance or full-time jobs. My set of skills include illustration, branding, visual identity, editorial, and communication graphics for campaigns. I think this is a very sweet, nice, crisp intro, and I think Adson, you're doing great. I would not expect anything more. We have read more here so that we can read a little bit more about Adson's experience. But what I want to do now is I want to scroll down, I want to check out the projects, and this is already looking very visually pleasing to me. It's very colorful and very friendly, inviting. So let's take a look. Adson has 6 different projects here. And so what I always tell you guys is that your last project should be the one that represents, or your last 2 projects should be the ones that represent your current skill set. So don't put any of the older projects at first, because the thing is that if, let's pretend I'm a potential client or I'm a potential employer of yours, where am I going to start? I'm going to start at the top, right? So, but if you have some really weak projects in the beginning, I will lose interest, right? I won't even scroll to the bottom. So it's important to have the most recent and the projects that represent your current skill and ability of designing, right? Or whatever you are doing, illustration, UX, and so on. So this project should be the strongest ones that you want, to present to me at first. Okay. Okay, cool. So we have some really, really visually pleasing intro image here, and I can see probably has to do with brand identities already. Dawood is saying, yeah, cool. Very nice. Yeah, let me know, guys, by the way, if you have any questions about portfolios, about putting together portfolio pieces, about anything like that. Maybe you have some specific questions. Feel free to shoot them in the chat and we'll make sure to answer those. Cool. So here we have looks like a branding project, and we have some really amazing color palettes already going on. I can see this is going to be great. And here we have Escola Pasos do Saber. I'm also wondering why exactly is there this gray frame around the visual. I'm wondering if it's possible to kind of blow up the blue color instead of having this frame. But let's take a look at what it's all about. So every project that you're presenting should start with the intro, and Adson is doing a great job here, kind of defining about what this project is all about. And it's important because otherwise how else are we supposed to understand if he did a great job at what he was doing or not, right? How are we supposed to judge if this design will work or will not work, or we think it will work or not work, if we don't have any background? And that's what I always tell people. If you're presenting something, present them with the background information. Give them some background on the project or on the client, and on what was the challenge. Maybe the client came to you with a certain challenge. Let's say, hey, you know what, we are currently targeting a very old audience, and we want to move to the younger audiences, and how can we solve that challenge with design? And this is exactly what you described in the beginning, right? What was the challenge and how did you solve it? What kind of design decisions did you take to solve this challenge, this particular challenge that the client comes with, right? And the same thing you can also do is, even if it's not a real client, even if you're working on a passion project, and if you have to make something up for yourself, just create a challenge and solve the challenge with presented solutions that you actually would apply to this challenge. Okay. Following a series of adjustments to the school's new. Okay, so we have a good intro here, and we have it in 2 languages as well, because Adson wants to work for an international market. And I think that's also really, really important. If you are from a country that's not English speaking, I would definitely put an English translation, because these days we're working globally. If we are putting our portfolio out there on Behance, we might as well be found by other countries, right? We might as well be found by, so let's say you're outside the US or outside any English speaking country, and if all of your intro is in a language that, let's say, an American wouldn't understand, they would less likely hire you. So why not give them the opportunity to understand what you want to say as well? And I would say English is a pretty, international language, and even clients from Europe would understand you, clients from India would understand you, from anywhere in the world, basically. So if you are from a non-English speaking country, make sure to add an English description as well. That will just help you to maybe attract more clients, and maybe you'll get some clients from the US as well. Cool. All right, so I love this part. I think you're doing great here. So here we have a little intro. I'm wondering if that's the logo, or what is this graphic about? Maybe just like an intro graphic that has to do with the branding project. Now I see that you have the logo with the different lockups. And whenever you guys create a case study for a brand, or whenever you create a brand identity, it's great to see how you can, how the brand can be flexible to different situations. So let's say you have a stamp. How will the stamp look like? Probably like this. So what if we put, the logo on the website? How will that look like? What if we put the logo in a tiny format on an iPhone screen in the corner? How will that look like? And I think to have that flexibility in the brand is so important. And here we have Adson showing us how the brand is flexible and how the brand can be applied to different lockups. So this is good. Okay. Then we have the color palette here. I would love a little bit more definition. What's the primary color palette? Maybe there is a secondary color palette. Maybe there's a color palette that it's only used for the packaging, let's say. And then sometimes I do that when I create color palettes for my clients. I create just a color palette for future products. So let's say they have been working on just one product with me, but I'll provide them color palettes that they can apply to future SKUs. So to future products that maybe will develop inside the company. So I'll give them this additional color palette that they can use for future products. Okay, all right, this is great. I love how you're applying the color here and kind of showing how this DO element works with the different colors and different layouts. So this is great. I'm wondering what this can be used for. So I think Adson, what will be great is if you add to all of these design decisions that you've made, a sentence. Let's say, for example, looking at the color palette, we can see colorful tones because. So I'm wondering what's the because? What caused you to actually select these colors? I think that would be interesting to know. And then also these graphics, what do they belong to? What I would identify where can they be used? I think that would be interesting to know. Here we have the typefaces, really great way to show a typeface, just writing out the ABC and then showing in bold and large how the typeface actually looks like in color and in the actual brand context. This is also great. And talking about typefaces, Adson is already showing us how this typeface will look like on a letterhead and so on. So this is also a really cool way to kind of show the brand. And looking at the structure of this project. So Adson starts with an intro image. Then he writes a little intro in both languages that he's mostly using. Then he gives us a little intro about the logo, about the graphic elements. Then he gives us an intro about the different logo lockups. Then he shows us the color palette and different ways to use the D and O symbol, right? Different ways to use the graphics. Then we're talking typefaces. And then Adson is kind of taking all of these things that he was presenting before and showing how they work together, how they collaborate and create products like a letterhead, like a stamp, like a business card, like a stationery, little collection of stationery. And here we are actually able to show how these colors, typefaces, graphics, lockups, and everything that he's presented before, typefaces, work together, right? So this is what we want to do. This is a great way to present a brand, right? We want to go through all the details. Okay, so what's the typeface, what's the color palette, what's this and this and this. Break it down in the beginning and then put it together in the end, right? Put it together and create amazing, stunning visuals like that. So this bottom part here is basically kind of the high most exciting, let's say, about the projects to see, because here while we're scrolling through this, we're like, oh great, and now we're like building up the interest. So how does this all work together? And here we have it all reveal and it works together super well. So this is what we kind of want to see, that type of process of things broken down and then coming together in the end. Okay, this is great. And again, we have a call to action here at the bottom. After I went through all of these images, and I'm like, oh great, this is working great. I'm feeling so satisfied about this project, and this looks really amazing. I'm identifying myself with this, and I want Adson to create something similar for me. Now, at this point, when I achieve the bottom of this page, I need to be able to contact him, right? Otherwise, scrolling up, I might forget about contact him again, contacting him. So at the bottom of the page, there should be a little contact link, or a little the email address that works super well, or a link to the contact page where you can leave a message and your email, and we'll get back to you. This is really, really important, guys. Cool, let's take a look at the chat. We have a question by Anna. Julia, Behance is a great platform to post projects. I was wondering if you have some tips about getting recognition there. Absolutely. And you know, my portfolio was not recognized a lot, except for the location, and that's how I started working with Adobe. I had put my current location at San Francisco, and that's the reason why they found me, because I was at that point of time, they were looking for designers, and I was in San Francisco, and for them the cheapest way to get someone to their office is if they were located in San Francisco. So don't forget to put your location so that people who are looking for designers in their location can find you, right? One. And the second thing is getting featured. Getting featured on Behance is, my God, if you're getting featured in the graphic design section, you're probably gonna get about 100 project requests or more, and they will keep on coming. They will keep on coming because you will be still, really well searchable. And let's say somebody's looking for something specific. So my branding for a beverage was featured there, and and I got so many requests for projects, and I actually have worked on so many projects with different startups, different companies, who came up to me and were like, hey Julia, we saw this project, we saw the stash project, and we want to do something similar. And that's how people come up to you, because they can identify themselves with one of your projects. And they can only identify themselves with that project because they saw it, because they found it. How can somebody find you if you are visible online, right? If you're visible online, then they can find you. How can you be visible? You can be visible if you get featured, or if they search for the specific thing that you do, right? So if you're building a portfolio and you only have packaging projects, a client that is looking for a packaging designer and opens up your portfolio, they will be like, wow, this is perfect. This is the perfect designer for me. And so if you have one project in branding, one project in UX, and one project in photography, and one project in illustration, the packaging client will open your portfolio and be like, well, so I'm looking for a packaging designer, but what is this person? I cannot put them in a box, right? So a potential client or somebody who wants to hire you, they want you to see inside a certain box, right? And if you don't put yourself in the box, they will not be able to see a connection, because people are usually looking for something specific, right? So if you have in your portfolio UX, an illustration, a photography, and a branding project, and they're looking for, or a packaging project, and they're looking for a packaging designer, they won't be sure if you're the right person, because you are doing so many other things on the side as well. So you're not specialized in project, but what they want in packaging, but what they want is somebody who is specialized in what they want them to do. They want to have somebody who, who's professional at what they're doing, who has a lot of experience at what they're doing. And that's the reason why I always say, make sure that your portfolio specializes on a certain thing. And the more specific, the better. So I have friends, it's like a studio, and they are specializing actually only on beer. the beer industry, right? So all they have is beer packaging projects. Now, what do you think a beer client will go to? Do you think they will go to somebody who does all the different industries, or somebody who is specialized in that one industry? They for sure will pick the somebody who is specialized in that specific industry, because they will know that this person probably already did tons of research on the beer industry. They know all the clients, they know all the competitors that this brand will have, right? So that's what I'm always telling everybody who's asking me about what kind of projects to put into their portfolio. And I always say, find your specific niche, find your specific field, and start doing that by finding to do what you love, right? Start finding out, what do you enjoy the most? Do you enjoy illustration? Do you enjoy UX? Do you enjoy photography, or do you enjoy packaging or branding? In my case, I specialize in packaging and branding, and I still could specialize more. I could, for example, jump into the beverage industry and start creating only, I don't know, liquor packaging, or or I can jump into the food industry and start only working for restaurants, for a specific type of restaurant, So that's what I'm always saying. Specialize on the projects, get featured, and to get featured, all you have to do is really look at the projects that are being featured, and then create something that's on the same level. So let's take a look. So let's say we have here, this is all graphic design featured, right? GR means graphic design featured. So here we have a packaging project. So whenever you're looking for inspiration, just take a look at those projects that are being featured and take a look at how do they put it together. There is a certain way that how people are successful, right? So why not take a look at how are they being successful? How did they achieve what they achieve? And then just try to apply that process to your work. So here, let's say we have here this branding, and again, we see a pattern, right? It starts with a cover image. Then we have a little description. Then we have some mock-ups going already. So they're not really kind of showing into depth about the logo and typefaces and so on. But here, the visuals are just already so stunning that you don't even need anything else to understand this, right? So we have kind of like a close-up, so we can see the typefaces, we can see the colors being cohesive all over the boards, right? Like, take a look at this blue. Take a look at this blue. Take a look at this blue. It's all the same tone of blue. Now let's take a look at the typefaces and the graphics. They're all the same, and they're all repeating themselves, right? Over and over, every image. Now let's take a look at this brown color. It's always the same on the cards, on all the mock-ups, and it's repeating itself in the bottle. And here we have even an image where, the actual product is a little bit more in the background, but it's put into a context where we again have this blue color repeat. So guys, this is a professional way of showing a project. And here we have the illustrations in a close-up. I think this is what the person was probably concentrating on, and that's the reason why they're showing them separately by themselves, right? So they're showing all these different illustrations they probably made, and then they're showing where do these illustrations appear and how can they appear. Here, for example, in all blue, here with a little gold foil print. Then we have some other graphics happening, and how do they appear, right? Where do they go, and so on. So take a look at the feature projects and take a look what makes them so special. Here we have the complete cohesiveness, custom images. This person has made their own imagery, right? Their own mock-ups. So this product, honestly deserves a lot of respect, because there is a lot of work behind this project. Okay, so just take a look at those projects and what exactly is shown there. So let's take a quick look at this one. So what I also see a lot is experimental typefaces and type experiments. And again, we see the same pattern. Cover image to give an intro to the project, and then we have a little intro actually happening here. And then we have images that show the product, close-ups, going away, coming closer, opening it up. I don't know what that is exactly. That's kind of a little, kind of takes away my attention. But anyways, I think, the experimental part of this is still really, really cool. Just taking a closer look at the project. And whenever I see a featured project, most of them are actually self-shot images. And that makes it so much more valuable, because these days we have, we have mock-ups online that all of us have accessible. And the problem is that there are not enough mock-ups to be unique, because everybody's using the same mock-ups, and you'll be able to, after a couple years of work, you'll be able to see mock-ups that are overused, and you just don't feel the connection to the project once you see, this is a mock-up and it's not an actual picture that somebody took. This is also great. Yeah, again, you can see self-shot photography, a little intro at the top. We have a little close-up to the illustration. We have some animation going. This is always great too. So if you're able to create animations like that, this is also awesome. Again, we have some photography going here, some animation. Yeah, so guys, all I can recommend is check out featured projects and build a project with the same type of, with the same, just create an experience and a design that's appealing in the way that the featured projects are. And that will make you more likely to get featured and to get more clients. And an important thing is, when you're putting out the projects, is to mention what type of software you're using, right? So always mention the type of software that you're using. Then you're likely to be recognized by the different software teams who are looking through the Behance projects actively to feature them, because they want to promote the product, right? So let's say Illustrator sees an amazing project that's made in Illustrator, and it's all beautiful and things that you can only do in Illustrator. They will feature it, and that will make it more visible, and that will bring you clients. Anyways, so let's take another quick look. So we have a similar pattern here. We have an intro, we have a little description, and then we have everything broke down, and then we have the mockups. So I think this is a great way to structure your project. All right, cool. One thing, Adson, that I have realized is, there's a lot of white space around here. What I'm thinking, maybe you can just, instead of using the plain white color, maybe you can take an off-white, right? So an off-white as in, it could be like a slight blue, like very, very slight blue, right? Very, very slight. Or it could be a slight beige or a slight gray, just whatever you prefer, but I will make sure that there is not too much white space around it. Just make it a little bit more interesting. What you can also do is you can add an image that has texture in it. So let's say some like papery texture, but very, very subtle. Don't make it too much, but I would just make it a little bit more exciting around here. But otherwise, I think this is looking great. Adson, hopefully this was helpful for you. It was definitely helpful for us. I want to take a quick one over here. We have some educational stuff. Okay, cool. This is also great to show how, the logo or the graphic elements are put together. Again, we have everything broken down, the color palette, the typefaces. Cool. All right. Yeah, this is great to show, how this works in comparison to a human. It's always great to make things tangible in a project, right? So whenever you take photos, make sure it looks, or whenever you use mock-ups, make sure they look realistic. And if you're not able to kind of bring the right realism into it, just, do the extra effort and maybe even take your own images, or maybe find a better mock-up. I think that's, showing the tangibility of the design. Imagining that it really exists is so important. And that's the reason why it's not cool to use overused mock-ups. Because if somebody can see and recognize that mock-up, they will not even look at your design anymore. You kind of destroyed their imagination that this object is actually real, So you don't want to disappoint anyone looking at your portfolio. You want to make them happy that you put the extra effort just to create visuals to please their eye and to make the design tangible and to understand it, because that's in the end that's all we want, right? If I look through a certain graphics, I want to be able to understand them. I want to find them visually pleasing, and I find them visually pleasing if everything's well organized and if that kind of awakes a certain emotion in me. Okay, cool. This is great. Okay, it's great. I see there is a lot of white space around the different slides here, so I would definitely reduce that. So here we have some white space. Here we have a lot of white space. Yeah. So maybe there is a way to to reduce it a little bit, because here you're showing this image and then you're showing the exact measurements. I don't think this is important for everybody who's looking through your portfolio, because in the end this is usually used for for the person who's going to produce this object, not for someone who's interested in the design. So I will make sure to reduce this part. Okay, cool, Adson, hopefully this was helpful. Let's jump onto Jasmine's portfolio and let's take a quick look. Let me know in the chat if you guys have any questions so far. Cool, Adson is saying great advice, thank you. You're always welcome. I'm gonna take a sip from my coffee real quick. Guys, this is your chance to ask questions. Feel free to ask them. Let me know if the music in the background is giving some vibes and if you want me to turn it up a little bit or turn it down. Cool. All right, Jasmine there. Let's take a look at your portfolio. Here we have a Behance portfolio, as we saw mine earlier. It's the same site. So here we have some links. One recommendation that I always give to my students is, so the less links you use, the better, and also try to avoid the links that are connected to personal information, if that makes sense, because here you want to show yourself from the professional perspective. And usually when we click on like a Facebook page or something, usually it has to do with personal things. So I would definitely make sure that any of the links that the person can click are actually leading to some of your professional work, maybe some kind of projects that are additional to your portfolio. So yeah. Okay, let's take a look at the projects, or here we have a little description. Let's take a look at that. Photography, graphic design. Born in Hoshiarpur, graduated in animation and multimedia from Chandigarh University, and raised by the 90s, Jasmine creation site grabs your attention from the digital art, graphic designs, beautifully color corrected and manipulated photographs. He clicked. I would definitely, this is a very long sentence, I would break it down in 2 sentences. Keep it simple, that's what I'm always saying. Don't overload it with information. Just in this description, I would definitely just mention, what are you concentrating on? What are your specialties? Maybe past clients, maybe there are some outstanding clients that you've been working with in the past, but I would definitely mention the industries that you've been working with. Because now let's say you have worked for the film industry in the past, and here we have a film client who is looking at your portfolio and reading the description. They will definitely be able to identify themselves, and they will, it will kind of awake more interest towards your projects. And that's what we want. We want to awake the interest, and we want to keep up the attention, and eventually we want them to reach out to us, right, for a job. So here, just keep it simple, make it easy to read, easy to understand. There are so many words here. So we have Chandigarh University first, then everybody knows Chandigarh. Then raised by the 90s, it's a very specific phrase. So Jesse creations also, not everybody understands what it means. So there are a lot of things that might not be quite familiar with what you are trying to say, to the person that's trying to read it. So keep it simple, and and maybe divide it into sentences. Okay, so we have here, okay, it's important that you're putting your location so that your, located clients that are in your city can reach out. Here we have a lot of projects, and I can promise you, Jasmine, there, nobody will look through all of your projects. Nobody. Because when you have people applying for a job, right, you will have to look through 100 portfolios. And the max the person will spend at your portfolio maybe 3 to 5 minutes before they make the decision if you're the right candidate or not. So what I would do if I was you, my God, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. You have 63 projects. That's a lot of projects. I mean, it's great that you have that, but I would definitely reduce it to only the ones that you're most proud about. I would maybe just leave 9 of them, to be honest, or at the max 12. So filter out what you're proud about, what you're not so proud about, and most importantly, filter out who you want to work with, what kind of industry you want to work with in the future. Think about your future, right? So do you want to make flyers for people? Do you want to make movie posters or any kind of posters? Do you want to make branding or websites? Do you want to make any like film promotion graphics? Here we have branding design. So here, look, this is already kind of showing what you all have here. What you write here in the description of your business or your services is not what you have done in the past. It's what you want to do in the future. Don't forget about that. Think about, what do you want to do in the future? Do you want to do all of these things? Do you maybe want to do some of these things? And then think about how you can actually, because we have branding design, right? Branding already includes a logo, right? It already includes the logo. So basically these things can be combined in one, and you don't have to mention logo by itself. Essentially, whenever somebody tells me, hey, I'm a logo designer, I'm like, no, you're a branding designer. Because a logo is not just a visual. A logo is based on some information that you got from the client. So let's say the client tells you, hey, you know what? I need a logo that looks more modern so we can attract a certain audience, so we can attract more young people, let's say, right? So the client comes to you with a challenge and you give them a solution to their problem. And when I create a branding, it consists of a logo, it consists of typefaces, sometimes even illustrations or patterns. And then I put together typefaces and a color palette for them. So that's actually a branding project. And what I can recommend to all of you guys, do not call yourself a logo designer. Do yourself the favor, do not call yourself a logo designer. Essentially, you're doing the same job that a branding designer does, just you're getting paid very little for it. And please, that's my advice for you. If you're just jumping into the industry, don't just create a logo, create a whole case study like we saw earlier. Offer your client a deeper meaning in your work, and they will value your work more, and they will therefore pay you more. So learn the branding process and learn how to combine typefaces, colors, and how to create a logo based on what the client tells you on their research or maybe their strategy that they're having. Always ask for the strategy before you start designing anything. Anything, literally. It can be a visiting card, a poster. All of this has to do with brand strategy. What does the brand want to achieve, right? You always need background information. Don't just design visuals. That will really devalue your work, and the client will not appreciate it as much as if you really put your thought into it, right? Okay, cool. So another thing. So let's say we have images like this one. On Behance, what we want to do is we want to create actual case studies. A case study is what we saw earlier, and it has to do basically with showing a process and showing the result, right? Showing graphic broken down and then showing the result. It also has to do with showing your design decisions, writing about what exactly were you thinking when you were doing this, and why exactly did you make this decision, right? So why exactly did you choose a colorful color palette, or an earthy color palette, or this and this and this? So that all has to do so much, with your project. And I'm sure most of you, let's say we have here, just when they're designing this visual, just when there was thinking about something, right? It was not just like, hey, that looks cool and that looks kind of cool. What he was thinking is actually, look, we have maybe this is a country or a part of the country, and maybe this is Punjab, and maybe these are the people of Punjab. So why not, give more value to your design, writing, hey, this graphic shows Punjab and the people, and it's a documentary festival or a photography documentary. And this is a design for a poster or something like that. I'm not sure exactly what this is. So also make sure to pick the right mock-ups. When you're designing something, make sure to pick the right mock-ups to show actual tangible design. I'm always talking about tangible design. You need to be able to feel like you can grab this and you know what this is and you know how to use it, right? This right now, it looks like a record a mock-up, but it says photography documentary, so does not really make sense, right? So I know this is a beautiful mock-up. It's beautiful and it has so much texture and so many details, and I really, really love it. I mean, this is great, but it does not really have to do with the product itself. So always make sure that the mock-up has a connection to the product. Okay. All right. Another thing is I see a lot of people over branding their projects. So I know it's so cool if you have a logo for yourself, for your personal brand, but don't put it everywhere on client projects. Don't put it everywhere. I also had to learn the hard way. I did that too in the beginning. I mean, I'm not judging anybody, but sometimes I'm looking through projects and every single brand graphic. So let's say we're going through typefaces, we're going through color palettes, and this person under each and every slide, they will put their logo. And it doesn't make sense because their logo does not have to do anything with the brand. And secondly, just repeating the logo over and over does not make any sense because it just gets annoying, and you don't want to be annoyed. You want to concentrate on the content of the project, on the case study actually. Another thing, so the reason why they did that, I asked them, I'm like, hey, so why exactly do you put your logo on each slide in your Behance project? And they were like, hey, I'm scared too that my work is being stolen or that somebody steals my work. And I'm always saying, don't worry. If people want to steal your work, they will steal it anyway. There is a stamp tool in Photoshop and they can erase your logo in 5 seconds. So if you're really worried about somebody stealing your work, then don't put it out there and sit in your house and don't get any clients. Your work will always be stolen if it's great. Your great work is a compliment if it's being stolen. You know what I mean? So by no means I'm not encouraging to steal work or saying that it's great that your work is being stolen, but that always happens. It always happens. There are people who are not able to create individual work and they're stealing from others, but it doesn't make them a great designer, and it will never be, right? So what I'm recommending here, Jasmine, get rid of your logos and make sure the products are tangible and that they really look like like you can actually touch them, that they're real. Like these business cards, that looks great. Here I would definitely expand this project. I will blow it up. Right now it looks like a little innocent logo design and business card, or maybe not even logo design. It looks like you have designed a business card here, and it looks very innocent. It looks very, that's how I started. But you can bring value to this project. You can make so much money off this by just breaking it down, giving it more thought, and really bringing some kind of background into this. let's say you have designed the logo, right? Break down how the logo can be used. How does it look like on, on a website? How does it look like on a shopping bag? How does it look like on an ad? And just with that logo, you can already create so much more tangibility to this brand, not just designing the card, right? Card can be one part, but the whole brand experience, that's what it's all about. That's where the money is, guys. Honestly, before I understood that, I was on platforms where you create logos for someone for $50. I used to do that in the beginning. And if you're not feeling confident yet, it's a good practice, but it's not something that's going to sustain you. What's going to sustain you is bigger projects and bigger thinking, right? Bigger thinking in terms of strategy, brand voice, thinking of brand values, what's important for this brand, blowing it up and thinking big. And if you don't have the clients who will provide you with a budget for a project like that, make it a passion project at first, put it in your portfolio, and then you will attract clients who will want the same. So this is how you start the cycle, right? You have to put something out there that you want to do in the future, and those clients will feel attracted to you, and you will get those clients. That's how it works. Nobody comes up to you and be like, Jasmine, so we're at McDonald's and we want you to create an ad campaign for us. They will not do it because they don't see it in your portfolio that you have created a whole ad campaign for a huge company before, right? But if you did, they might consider you, even if it was a passion project. But by a passion project, you show that you have the ability to think that way and to create things like that, right? Hopefully that makes sense. Farhad is asking, how can I submit my portfolio? That's a great question. So you can head over to my Instagram. I can show that to you. It's at Julia Masalska. So Julia Masalska, and here you can send me a DM. You can send me a text message with the link to your portfolio. That's how easy it is. All right, guys, so we are a little bit over time. I've been talking so much, but I hope this is all important and useful for you. Cool, Jasmine there. That's my recommendation. I hope this is helpful. Blow up your projects, make them case studies, concentrate on one specific field. Let's say branding, or here you have a lot of movie posters. Make them series, make them a series of posters. So it looks like you have worked for a company to create a whole ad campaign for this specific movie. Make it big, right? Otherwise, I think it all looks great. And another thing that I was mentioning earlier, take out all these old projects. Look, if I look at one of your projects from earlier, 2018, what do you think? Have you improved your skill set since then? I'm pretty sure you have. Look. And the thing is, by leaving those projects on your portfolio, you're giving the potential client the ability to see something that's not by your standard anymore. It was from the past, right? It's something that you've created in the past, and it does not represent your skill set anymore. It's old, it's old. Sometimes it's really hard to let go of old projects. I understand that, but you have to let go and move into the future and think of the future. Okay, so I would recommend you reduce your portfolio to 12 pieces, or at the max 16, that represent your current skill set and that also represent the kind of work that you want to be doing in the future. By the way, I have seen something here. So here we have something that you have started doing. It's the same brand that you have worked up here. So why don't you put the two together and create one big project out of this? If you have brands like that where you have created multiple things for this one brand, put it together in one project. Here again, we have 3 projects now for this one brand, and you have them all in different, if I had clicked on this and I have seen all that other work that you have been doing for them, it would have had impressed me way more than just seeing a business card. You know what I mean? So we want to have a longer kind of brand experience that we're going through on Behance. We want to really see, how in depth you have worked with a brand. Okay, so that's my recommendation for you. Thank you so much for submitting. Hopefully this was helpful. And then next one up, we have Ana Beatriz Costa. Ana Beatriz has 4 projects on her portfolio. One is visual identity, then we have UI UX, then we have poster design and photography. That's exactly what I was talking about earlier. So Ana Beatriz, I want you to find your path, right? So we have either visual identity, we have UI UX, we have poster design, or we have photography. What do you want to do? That's the question here. So Ana Beatriz, you know, it would be great to kind of see you're going into a certain path, and then let's say you choose UI UX or branding or photography, and not any of these. If you go into that and then create 2 to 3 passion projects just in that specific branch, just in that specific niche, then whenever somebody looks at your portfolio, they will understand what you're up to, what you're doing, right? And they will be more likely to hire you. So that's what I recommend for you. I think that's going to be a big step. But let's take a quick look at what you are actually good at. Cool. We have Copacabana cupcakes, como sabor do Brasil. This looks like a really cool branding project. I love how you have highlighted all the important things here. And we have an English translation as well, which is really important to translate your descriptions into English. Cool, great. We have all of these, brand values, which is a great start. You know, it helps me understand the brand that you're designing for so much better, and it will help me understand if you did a great job or not. Okay, logo type. Cool. And here we have 2 lockups, one with these wavy confetti. I don't know what exactly you would call those, but these wavy lines. And then we have the logo type, and here we have the figurative version of it. So these are the 2 versions of how you can use the logo. And the color palette, I really love how you're so into detail and that you have used those little cupcake shapes to place them into your color palette. I think this is great. Okay, again, we have this pattern, guys. I don't know if you realize, but most of the projects are kind of structured like that. And it makes sense because it's easy to understand, easy to grasp. We have an intro image. We have a little description about the project, we have brand values, we have the logo, we have the color palette, we have the typefaces, we have the additional graphic elements, whatever they might be. It can be a pattern, it can be illustration, it can be iconography, it can be any kind of additional graphics that you're using within the brand. Now we have mockups. How does this all come together? Here we have the logo and the pattern applied to an apron. And here we have a little board to show, hey, this is the place. Although we have an additional logo lockup that says Copacabana cupcakes, right? So here, if we go up, it doesn't say cupcakes, so I would definitely add that one to these logo lockups where it says Copacabana cupcakes. Okay. I think that would be important because you're using it as a logo here. Cool. Then we have some packaging here. Really cool. I would definitely add some texture in here because this looks really rendered, and I would expect a little bit more, random reflections, maybe small scratches and so on. So whenever you're creating mockups, it's really important to have them tangible and realistic looking. Cool. This one looks really realistic. I think this is a great mockup. It makes the design so, realistic and natural. I'm feeling like I can just grab this box, out of the counter and bring it home. Really cool. Very nice. No, I think this is a great project, and you're doing a great job creating this brand system around these waves and the colors, and it's just very friendly, and it's great. I would maybe add a couple more mock-ups of other collateral. So let's say maybe they have some kind of poster that's supposed to invite you into the coffee shop, into the shop, and maybe there is a little board that says, hey, welcome to Copacabana, blah blah blah, something like that. Or maybe you can show how the the mobile website looks like on a little mock-up on the phone. Maybe you can do like an online order or something like that. I think that always adds a little extra charm to the experience to really show how that all works. I'm by no means, I'm not a UX designer, and I'm always showing my clients how their colors, typefaces, logo work inside different media, right? So if I present a branding project to a client, I present them with a packaging, with a with a website starting page, with but just like a couple things where they can imagine how the brand looks like. Although I have not designed none of those into detail, I just want to give a little preview of how it could look like, right? And I'm not a UX designer, but I still go and create a UX design starting page at least. Right? Okay, cool. All right, Ana Beatriz, I think this is looking great. Let's take a look at your UX project. Cool. Again, we have a little intro image so we kind of know what it's all about. Love the illustration. Redesign trade map. Okay. We have the problem defined and the solution. And you know what's actually really tragic is that in UX design, I see so much more research than in branding, which branding is actually the basis for UX design. And I think branding should have so much more research and so much more depth to it. And I really wish that in the future, my fellow designers will put more thought into the presentation of the branding. Right? It has to be rational in a way. It doesn't, branding is not just a visual thing. Cool. I mean, this is great. I love how you're showing the whole, process and solutions and so on. I wish there were more mock-ups and maybe even a prototype like we saw earlier. I think that would be amazing to have a little prototype and to really go through all of these things that you're describing here. I think the initial research and, prototyping phase is good. I just want to see a final prototype. That would be amazing. Cool. Let's take a look at your description. We have the description here in a Brazilian, in Portuguese and in English. Really nice. No, I think this is great. I think the length is great. Cool. I've been drawing since I was a child, and when entered the digital world, I finally found myself. Very cool. Yeah, I love it. No, I think you're on a good way, Ana Beatriz. I think my only advice for you will be find your path, find your direction. What do you enjoy doing the most? Is it branding? Is it UX? Is it posters? Or is it photography? And then create a couple more projects, deactivate all the other ones for now, and just show that one specific field and grow in that one field. Because, the reason why we have to specialize in something is because you can go so much into depth. You can go so much into depth in just a certain field that you cannot do that for 2 or 3 fields at a time. You cannot do it's impossible. If you really want to be professional in something, they say you have to spend 5 years or 10,000 hours doing it every day. And rather than going 3 paths at the same time and being really slow, you rather pick that one path that you enjoy the most and go really fast. And you will notice that you will grow into it so fast once you decide for one. Right? Cool, Ana Beatriz. Hopefully this was helpful. And last but not least, Sarah Pronio. Cool. Let's see if you guys have any questions in the chat. Ana Beatriz is saying, thank you so much for the feedback. You really inspired me. Yay, great. I'm glad you find it helpful. Adson is saying that's true. I can relate. Anna's saying also, I'm exploring. I really want to focus on branding, but here in Brazil, people really value designers that know how to do a lot of things, different things. Okay, yeah, I understand. You can be able to do a lot of things, but you will need to start somewhere. For you personally, you will need to start defining your the information. See, the thing is, we always walk through the world and we always get so much information, right? Once you start concentrating on something specific, so let's say it's photography, once you start really going into depth of photography, your brain starts thinking photography. And that's where the magic starts happening. That's where you actually start learning into depth. And that's where you start walking through the world and you start seeing all this amazing photography. And you will notice that once you have defined that specific interest of yours or specific field that you want to grow in, that you will be able to grow in it very fast, very fast. Think of it as think of it as different parts of your brain being active. So different fields require different parts of your brain, right? So if you don't really target one specific part of your brain will be working, perfectly fine in different fields, but it will never really go into depth, and to be really, really good at something, I believe that you really have to go into depth of something, because that will give you the ability to spend so much more time on it and spend so much more effort on it. And I just think we need to concentrate on a certain target before we are able to go in a direction, right? Because if we want to go that way and that way and that way and that way, we're just standing on a spot. We're not going anywhere, right? So what I recommend you, if you say that, I think what I know what you're saying is actually that when you say that the client wants you to be able to do a lot of things, that doesn't mean that the client wants you to be professional in all of the things. It just means that the client wants you to understand how those things work, right? So you do have a great understanding of UI UX, and you can still go into branding, and you can still apply your brand identity to a UI UX. It's not something that you forget if you concentrate on a specific field. But it's a starting point where you can start collaborating with a client on a branding project, and then you'll be like, hey, you know what? I was thinking that this logo will work really great on the mobile, on the mobile experience, and the ability of thinking broadly, thinking in all of these, how do all of these things work together? I think that's the important part. You don't have to be a 100% UI UX designer, 100% branding designer, 100% photographer. Nobody can. That's not how how we're supposed to be. And I think it's important to really concentrate on something, but pay attention to everything else that is part of that experience, right? And all of these things that you're doing, they're highly compatible. They're really, really well compatible. It's just that you really need to dive into something. Pick your direction. That's my advice. All right, cool. So Sarah Pronio, and Sarah has a lot of really cool, visually pleasing work. I already see it. We have some happy scoops. We have Plaque Doctor, branding and packaging. I'm really loving this. I think I'm going to start with happy scoops. It just looks so visually pleasing to me. Cool. I'm already loving the color palette. Sarah, I think this is really great. I love this little brand element here. It looks super fun, and I believe, it will attract some young people and some, a certain, I can see a certain target group here being, being targeted. So this is really cool. Family-owned creamery. Happy Scoops is a family-owned ice cream parlor serving up unique flavor profiles and friendly service. What do you need more? It's a great little short description. And now we're seeing how, how the logo is being applied. We have Happy Scoops applied to the packaging here, including that little element. Here we have it as a kind of like a stamp lockup, which is also really, really cool. I'm just thinking, let's see if you have it here somewhere. Ooh, okay, this is it, Sarah. Wait, so Sarah, wait up. You know what we need? We need more. I want to see more of this. You know why? Because I think that there is so much more potential in this project. First of all, the typefaces and color palettes I will put at the top, right before you jump into the mock-ups. Because first of all, what we want to do is we want to understand what's the logo. And here I'm able to see the logo on the packaging. I want to see the logo by itself and what kind of colors can it be used in. Then I want to see the stamp, which seems to be a different lockup of the logo. And I want to see in what kind of colors can that be used. Then I want to see this little element. Can it be used by itself? What's the context? Like where can I put it? Is there any alternatives? Maybe I can just put it as a little element on the poster. Maybe I can put it on a sticker. Maybe I can put it on some kind of like maybe on the front side of a business card. Maybe what can I do with it? And also, you're showing this amazing pattern. Where can it be used? Think of it applied to a certain object or to a certain product. What will this look like? And also, we have these cups. We have this logo by itself. What about maybe some kind of tissues that they have, like little napkins or something like that. What about an apron? What about mobile experience? What about an animation? What if you animate this logo kind of turning? Or what if you animate, this background changing, boop, 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 maybe to orange? That would look super cool. And I think that would totally work with this poppy, colorful branding, right? And what else? So just the general, organization of the project. I would start with this slide. I think this is a really great intro. Then I would do this one. So until here, everything's great. Then I will pull this one up here after the orange slide. And then I will put the pattern right underneath. And then I would break down the logos into the different color palettes that the logos have. And then I will break down the different ways the logos can be used and how the lockups can be used on different media or different collateral. Then I'll add more mock-ups, aprons, napkins, whatever is in the creamery. Maybe even a picture of a creamery and then like a creamery mock-up. Let's say ice cream shop mock-up. Literally, you can Google that and I'm sure you'll find tons of different images here. So let's say we have something like this and you can adjust the graphic in here, right? So you can go in here and you can make it your brand. And there are so many really cool, maybe this brand has like a little cart like that where they're selling the ice cream outside. Here we have some collateral that I was talking about, like stickers and so on, right? Maybe they have some flyers, business cards, spoons. Here we have a little paper that can wrap the waffle. Here, something like that, where we have actual like a lifestyle image of a person holding the ice cream. Maybe we have some different SKUs of the ice cream box. Maybe we have a small, medium one and a large one. What else? Maybe we have some kind of like posters that are going on somewhere, around the city. And maybe we can have like an online experience that we're showing on the phone. Yeah, so Sarah, honestly, there's so much more you can do with this. So much more. But I really love the little texture that you apply in the background. I think this works really great. It makes it really interesting to look at. It gives it depth. And I think Sarah, there's so much more stuff you can do with this project. And this is actually a project that's featureable. I can see it being featured if you really put some effort into it. You can even take your own shots with products that don't have any logos on it. So let's say you have a pack of napkins and you just take a picture of you holding them and you just place the logo on top with Photoshop. That is definitely possible. So Sarah, I love this project, but I think there is a lot of potential and I'm sure you can expand it so much more. Let's take a look at Plague Doctor Gin and Tonic. This is already a great mock-up. I think it looks very realistic. Love this little cover here. And okay, so we have 5 different SKUs. This is great. I think this is looking awesome. I love the color palette here, how you're consistent with the type of pattern that's in the background, how you're keeping the layout cohesive, and how you have very, you know, interesting color combinations. I think this is really cool. Like this green and purple, I think this is really, really cool. It's very unique. I don't think I have seen anything that color yet. This is also really cool how you're showing, you know, the different variations of how the logo can be used. This little graphic here is super awesome, very unique. I love it. I also love how you didn't use just white color in the background, but you have used this very slight off-white, I don't know what that is, like a greenish, grayish version of white. And that gives it so much more value. And here the black is not just black, it's more like a dark charcoal color. So I really love this part. Okay, let's take a look further. This is also really awesome. Again, I would love to see more. I would love to see, you know, the package of where these cans go. Maybe there's like a paper, like a cartonage package where the cans go. And maybe we can see some cans stacked up on top of each other. Maybe we can even see an animation where the cans run through the image. You know, stuff like that. Make it fun, make it interactive, and you're having such great designs. You know, just make them, play with them more. You know, just play with them. They're your babies. You can, you know, you can give them some more love. Okay, and now we have some projects from the past. I can see like these 4 projects at the top are. These are okay. These are alright. I mean, honestly, to be honest, I can see your progress in here. And I would totally remove like maybe these 2 or maybe like some of the past projects that don't really reflect what you're currently doing. And I can see a lot of branding and packaging here. So why don't you remove all this other infographics or whatever, postcards that is, magazine? I'm not sure if that's relevant for you anymore. So make sure to really concentrate and to really filter out what you think is going to be the future of Sarah Pronio, right? And base your design services of that too. What you want to do, what, you know, I can see you're having so much fun with this stuff, right? You don't want to go do like boring magazines and stuff. You know, I'm not sure what that is exactly. But, you know, putting together text, it's, I don't know. No, I can see your passion clearly laying in this direction. So I would totally concentrate on that. Cool, Sarah, I think this is great. Let's take a look at your description here. Sarah Pronio, she, her, is a graphic designer, illustrator, and all-around creative thinker based off Toronto, Canada. With almost a decade of creative experience and 4 years in near Bachelor of Design program under the belt, Sarah aims to produce strategic and thought-out branding decisions for her clients, big and small. Her work spans across many design platforms such as branding, art direction, illustration, typography, editorial, and more. Sarah is currently the lead designer and marketing coordinator at Century 21 Millennium Inc. Very nice. Cool. When she's not designing, you can catch Sarah reading a good book, hanging out with her 2 kitties, binging too much Netflix, or endlessly scrolling through TikTok. Yeah, I agree. Same here. But yeah, Sarah, I think this is a great description. You're showing your experience. You're showing where you studied. This is great. And you only have very few links, which I love. And LinkedIn is always a great platform to connect with potential clients. It's a very professional platform. Instagram, I would only share if you really have professional work in it. Let's see what Sarah has here. Yeah, and she does. And she does show her portfolio pieces here. So this is great. Cool. All right, Sarah, I think you're honestly good to go. All you have to do is add a little bit more prop to your projects, add a little bit more animations, more mock-ups. Just look at, you know, other projects that might, you know, inspire you. So let's take a quick look. You can look on Pinterest or on Behance. So let's say we're looking for ice cream. So let's take a quick look at this one. This one's featured in graphic design. So maybe something like that, you know, like different lockups of how, you know, how the packaging looks like. Maybe something fun with business cards like this, you know, even. And let's take a look at this one. What else do they have? This is really cute. This could be also something you could do. Okay. You know, just gain some inspiration from other projects. Maybe you can create something like this where kind of have like a little flyer or a price list. You know, you don't have to, like, I'm not kind of telling you to copy, but just to get some ideas what type of mock-ups can be used in such a context. Here again, right? So it's cool. It's interesting to look at. It's very tangible, and those are some great mock-ups. Cool. Yeah, so, but just like, I'll make sure to take a look at, oh yeah, here, we have a really cool animation. Why don't you create something like that? It's really not easy to, not difficult to create something like that. You can get a 3D model, you can jump into Dimension, you can throw your design on it, and you can create stuff like that. Super cool. Yeah, so just take a look at a couple more projects like that here. This is also great, you know. I'm sure there are mock-ups similar to this where you can try to apply your brand to something that looks very tangible and realistic. Okay. See, this is the tangibility we want. We want it to appeal as if it's actually already in the store, and this is actually, you know, already happening. This is what we want to achieve when we're presenting a case study. Okay, guys. So awesome. I think we've covered a lot today. 1.5 hours of pure Julia talking. So hopefully this was helpful to some of you guys. Make sure to follow me at Julia Masalska on Instagram, and this is where you can also submit your portfolio. Just send me a DM with your portfolio link, and I will put you on a list of portfolio reviews. We are doing those every Friday, except for last Friday where I forgot to go online and I did the portfolio reviews by myself. But we're usually doing those on Fridays, and I'll always, you know, update you with the date that you're on the list for, and so on. Thanks everybody who was here in the chat. Really, really cool. Alexis is saying looks really good. Yeah, I totally agree. Thank you, Julia, for your feedback. I'll definitely build on this project. This is really cool. Okay, yay! All right, guys. So I'm wishing you a great Sunday. Hopefully, you will have a great start into the week tomorrow, and we'll chat soon. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining, and talk soon. Bye bye.